help us make that happen. But you know what? No one wants to hear me talking. Everyone wants to hear Halorin talk. That's why we brought him on the show today, right? So why don't we just jump right into it? Well, you know what? First, Halorin, I want to see, like, what's your general take on, like, you know, everyone's talking Heroes of the Storm 2.0 coming out. We've had a couple of weeks to digest all the information. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, is this something that you're really excited for?
I'm really excited for it. Like, I had the fortune of having something of a unique perspective on this because I was lucky enough to go to the media summit where a lot of this was all announced, and we got to sit down and talk with the devs for a while. And it was really one of the first instances where I saw the true passion that the developers have for the game. Being able to speak to them like in the same room and ask them questions and hear just the tone of voice they had. Like they were just enthusiastic to answer questions. And it really confirmed to me that they care about this game. And they really are invested in its future. And the things that they're adding to 2.0, I think, are really indicative of an understanding of how social media and things are going, like having sprays, having emojis. It really embraces a lot of what you see, like in Twitch chat. The perfect Twitch emote just like adds to any sort of experience when you're watching like HTC or anything. So to bring those kind of elements into the game, I think is really heads up on their part.
Yeah, it was definitely pretty cool. I'm really jealous. I wish I could have been a fly on the wall in that meeting for sure. What were you like? What happened? Did you just get like a phone call one day? Like they say, hey, like come out to California and like we want you to be involved in this.
Well, I happened to already be out there because I was casting Heroes of the Dorm. So Lashes Ash is the community manager, one of the best human beings I've ever had a chance to meet and interact with. Reached out to all the dorm casters and we're like, hey, like while you guys are out here, would you be interested in going to media summit? And we're like, are you kidding? Like, absolutely.
What caster's gonna say no to that? Like, really?
So it was just really cool how it worked out. We finished up casting our portion of Heroes of the Dorm, and they had us stay out there a few more days and changed our travel arrangements around, and we were able to meet a lot of the developers. It was a really cool experience.
Yeah, I can definitely imagine. And was it really tough to have radio silence for a day or two, or however long it was between like, hearing about it and like just dying to tell everybody about what you heard? It must have been tough.
Well, this is my first time ever really contending with an embargo, and there was definitely a part of me that was just like so eager to talk about the things that are coming to the game, and there's still plenty more that hasn't been revealed. So you'll really see the true depth of how invested Blizzard is as a whole and a development team into the expansion of the game. But it's really difficult to not talk about it. Like I'll watch a streamer and people will talk about things that they want in the game, and I'll just be like,
I can't.
Okay.
I want to tell you, but I can't.
I just don't say anything. I'm just like, yeah. But on the other side of it, it's tough for Blizzard, I think, because I won't say that. I empathize with like leaks and things can be tough. You trust people when you bring them in to look at this stuff. You're really excited about bringing new things to the table, and you want to share that with parts of the community, and I love that about them. So I've really made a point to like not talk about anything because I want to honor that trust. It means a lot that they would bring me into that fold, so I wouldn't do anything to let go against that.
Oh, for sure. And I don't think we're saying you ever would. It's more just that feeling. It's like knowing what you're getting for Christmas, or like, and seeing the Christmas presents, not being able to like, open them already. Right. So, I mean, now I feel like we're all sitting here too, being like, we just want Heroes 2.0 to launch already, so we can jump in there. We can open all these like loot chests we're going to be getting too. Like I did the calculator, the spreadsheet to see how many I get, and it was like 66 loot chests. Like for just hanging out and playing a game that I love, this is amazing. So I'm pretty excited to crack open those loot chests day one and see what comes my way. So hey, Dorm too. That must have been a really great experience. Like what tell us about your journey through Heroes of the Dorm, like, and how that went, because yeah, you did a great job for sure.
Well, thanks, man. That means a lot. It is without any hyperbole that I say my participation in Heroes of the Dorm changed my life in a lot of ways. I got into casting for very personal reasons. So to be included in Heroes of the Dorm, for Blizzard to reach out to me, you know, that there was an initial amount of shock because it's just like what? Like I've only ever done community stuff, so it was just really cool that they would trust us with that. Because in a lot of ways, Heroes of the Dorm serves as the ambassador for this game. It goes into the collegiate area as far as like demographics and people go. But there's also a lot of like, oh, what's this Hero Storm game? Like, I don't even know, but like my college or my university's playing that, so I want to go check it out. Like, so to potentially be the first impression for people coming into the game that have no idea what it's about, it was a really big honor. Getting in there was daunting at first for me. I'm actually a really quiet and introverted person, so going into new environments is always something of a tough gamble for me.
I know that feeling.
It's funny because I think a lot of Heroes of the Storm podcast, I've heard that from them too, like saying, you know what, I'm more of an introverted personality and I do this in like my safe kind of space. Like I'm sitting here in my basement right now talking to you guys over Skype. I mean, maybe we've got an audience listening and such, but it doesn't feel like it, right? So it does allow that kind of introverted personality to shine, and a lot of people are like self-admittedly like that too. And this is that's one of the cool things about casting. It can give you these opportunities and such too. So one of the guys on our team, our chair league team, Fatty, who's actually probably sitting in chat here too, he found out about this game through the original Heroes of the Dorm, and I think a lot of people did. They're just tuning on ESPN and be like, what's this? Video games on TV? Check it out. Be like, maybe I should try this out, see how it goes. Like, it must be a serious thing. But speaking of that, what do you think about having it on Facebook as opposed to ESPN this year? Is this something? I'm not sure if this is something you're allowed to talk about too. So feel free to say, this is something nice. Signed. Blizzard says I can't really comment too much on this kind of thing. But did you like Facebook as a platform?
You can say no comment. Go too far in there.
That's fair. I can go into it.
What I can say is that my from where I sat in the whole thing, Blizzard's definitely aware of the community's feedback.
Yep.
And
which is great in general. I feel like Blizzard always does listen to feedback too, right? So, but
I think that was the best answer you could have given to that question.
I promise that's the only tough question I'll throw your way today. I had no idea what was going to happen. I was like, I should have asked him off camera first if we're allowed to like touch that. But you know what?
It's just like, from my perspective, I was asked to go out there and talk about video games, and I just wanted to do the best job that I possibly could.
Right.
As far as marketing and exposure and things like that, it's not in my lane. Like, I just step out there and talk about the game. So in a lot of ways, I didn't even think about that. Yeah. Obviously, as a caster or someone that like is in the community, having the most exposure possible would be pretty neat. But I mean, at the end of the day, I was just like, I just want to do the best job that I possibly can, because the teams deserve it more than anything. Even whether we have 1,000 viewers or 10, like, it doesn't matter, because these teams are taking time out of their lives to play in this tournament, and they have aspirations to potentially have tuition paid for, or to make a name for themselves in some way. And like, you finish that up and you go after and you see yourself get casted. I just wanted to make sure I did as good a job as possible there. So that was always my focus.
I mean, other than those teams surprising you with the gingerbread gazebo, I think you did a great job.
All I ask is a warning.
So what was it like sitting in that chair doing the casting job for Heroes of the Storm 2 compared to, like, sitting in the comfy couch and casting from home?
It was very different at first. Like I said, I really struggle with new environments. I would, again, like echo, I'm a pretty reserved person as far as all that goes. And that's a large part of why I feel like Heroes of the Dorm changed my life. Because, like, or Heroes of the Dorm and casting in general has changed my life, because it's allowed me an opportunity to be more expressive. But there's definitely something to be said for the technical aspects of being in a production like that. Like you said, like, I'm on my couch. Like, I'm as comfortable as possible casting normally. So to stand in front of three cameras and, watch for tally lights to see what camera's looking at you, and having makeup. I never had makeup before in my life. That was an adventure in and of itself. Like our makeup artist, like I love her. I always told her that she was the highlight of my day because we would just like talk about random stuff, and it would like help me to feel comfortable when I stepped out on stage. But the beginning parts of it were pretty daunting. The production crew, I thank them like pretty much at every turn because everyone made me feel so welcomed and like a part of the team that those nervous jitters that I normally would have just went right out the window. Like everyone was just super cool. It was a really good experience. By the end of it, I felt like I was back on my couch in a lot of ways in a lot of reasons because the production crew was so cool and like people, like the feedback was so great. Like it just helped me feel at home. So once I got over that hump, I felt pretty good.
Well, and like I think that even transformed into I read your most recent blog post about all of the things that had to come together to get you out to the dorm finals after Atlanta basically shut down for Delta. And like everybody's willingness to try and do that just speaks volumes of your relationship with those people, right? Because you can just be a face on a camera and completely hate the production crew, and they'll tolerate you and they'll get through that week period of time or however long it was. I think in your case it was like 2 months. And then that's the end of it. And you may come back, you may not, but who knows, right? Instead, like here's all these people trying to basically do whatever they can to get you out to the dorm finals, which to me says more about how you interacted with those people than anything else could have.
It touched my heart in a lot of ways. Like it's with no, overstatement. Like this experience has changed my life in a lot of ways. Seeing the effort that everyone went through to get me out there after all those flights were canceled. Hearing so many people from the community say like, "Oh man, I really hope you get to make it there." And then when I actually did make it, like people were hugging me. They were so happy to see me, and it's just extremely humbling. I got in the casting to try to break out of my introverted shell and be a more expressive person. I really struggled with putting myself out there. And like I see in the chat, like Pachante, how's it going, man? He's like, I'm not a quiet and introverted person, but I really am. And what's really changed some of those aspects of how I interact with people is my experience in the Heroes of the Storm community. Like when I started casting, I was just like, I'm just going to be myself. Like, I'm just trying to crack myself up and have fun. That's what I say to anyone that's ever asked me about, like, how I try to approach casting. And I was like, I might make jokes where, like, nobody at all is going to laugh. But if I fall flat on my face, I would have done it being me. So the idea that I've stayed true to myself 100%, and to have that kind of response from the community where they're like, we really appreciate what you do. Like, I remember the first time you casted my chair league game. Like, I'm so happy to see, like, we want to try to get you out here. This is what we're going to do to get you out here. Like, to get that response for just being me gives me confidence to be me in other areas. So I really mean it when I say the community's changed my life.
So I have to ask a personal question, sort of.
Sure.
Yes and no. How did it work with work? Because I know you got a job. How did that work out?
Well, I feel extremely fortunate in that because I'm an IT guy by day. I do a lot of network storage stuff. Not exactly the most glamorous thing, but I enjoy it.
Right.
So it was a very interesting conversation going into my boss's office because I telework on Mondays normally, so there's already to an extent an appetite for teleworking.
Yep.
And I was contacted by Blizzard on a Thursday, and they're like, hey, what are your plans like what's your schedule from middle of February to the end of March? And I'm like, okay, like what the heck? Like I figured, they would have me cast like some stuff online for Heroes of the Storm, some of the earlier portions. Like I was freaking thrilled about that. And they were like, well, we'd like to fly out to California and put you in a hotel. I was like, what? Like, are you kidding me? And I immediately knew that there was no way I was turning down that opportunity. Like,
right.
If I said no because I had to do like reports for work, like when I'm 50 years old, I'd look back at that and be like, there was just no way I was turning this down. So
right.
I walked in. I called my boss and was like, "Hey, I need to talk to you and like my boss's boss about something tomorrow. Like, I got this opportunity because they already knew that I did casting. It's kind of funny. Like, some of my coworkers, like they follow my stream and my casting stuff just as much as anybody. So it's just like, you know, I'll come in the office and be like, man, that game was crazy. I'll be like, yeah, it was. So when I told them that, they were like, yeah, we'll really need to sit down and talk about this. I was more than prepared, though, to walk into the office Friday and put in my 2 weeks, if that's what it came down to, because there was just no way I was turning this down. Like, for all the personal reasons why I got into casting, like, I just wasn't going to walk away from it. And they knew that that was the case. So I was really thankful in that they were flexible enough to allow me to work remotely for that whole time. Like, I worked 2 jobs. Like, I would wake up, some days, like on casting days in the earlier parts, I'd wake up at 5 in the morning to do stuff here because, like, it's 8 o'clock. So, like, I'd be able to work with coworkers and look at emails and do things. Do that for a few hours, go into the production office, find out what teams are casting, reach out to them, do interviews with them, study their stats, which is an adventure in and of itself because I never really studied, like, teams and stats and picks like that before. So that was cool. Then actually, you know, go into rehearsal, which would be a few hours, get everything ready there, do the actual cast, and then I'd be done at like 11:30, midnight some nights, Pacific, and then I'd go back to my hotel and do like 3 more hours of work, and then go to bed at like 2 in the morning.
And then do it all again.
Right, and then that'd be Wednesday, so then Thursday I'd be doing the exact same thing. So, you know, a lot of people are like, man, you just got to like coast and like got paid. I was like, no, like that was not a vacation for me. Like I enjoyed hanging out by the pool and stuff when I could, but it was a lot of work to be able to juggle both of those jobs.
So that brings me to another question I want to ask, because I've always been curious about this. So the stats that you were studying, does Blizzard just have all that and they're like, here you go, have fun? Or is it, because like, all right, so Mystic and I, mostly me, when we cast games, like I have a notebook. I track every draft that happens that I cast, right? And I put it on a spreadsheet so I have it and I can go back and reference it when I'm casting another team that I've cast in the past and say, okay, well, we know on this map we've seen them pick this a couple of times, right? But do they have like a notebook? They're like, here you go, man, here's the 2 teams, or how does that work?
Well, by the round of 64, like Heroes of the Dorm's website had API things where they could upload stats like right out of replays and stuff, and at that point it was really easy to look at stats, and they're incorporating that into the HGC website as well. But during the regional parts, it was the source. Like the source, he is a data machine. Like, it's insane. He has a C++ program where he would export data out of HOTS logs and put it into this program, and it would spit out stats for us. Without that, it would have been infinitely more difficult to have that kind of information. But he worked really hard on that. So I give him a lot of props and respect for doing that.
That's cool. Okay.
Cool. Well, pretty interesting experience. I'm sure a lot of people are sitting here being like, oh man, I wish I could be sitting in Halorin's shoes when he went to dorm and everything too, right? Awesome to hear like how like amazing an experience it was for you too, and like you said, changing your life and everything as well. I think just in general, the Blizzard community, like just getting into the podcasting, the 3 of us, we've only been doing this for maybe about half a year now, I guess. But just seeing the positive reception you get from everybody, and I've sent a couple of tweets back and forth with Lashes too, and she does seem amazing. I can't wait to meet her. We're going to BlizzCon too, so I can't wait to go meet more of the community there too. And hey, are you going to BlizzCon, Halorin?
I want to. I was actually casting Heroes Hype the first round of the first time the tickets went on sale, so couldn't get them then. And then the next time they went on was a Saturday. They went like immediately. So I'm gonna have to try to find some tickets from somewhere. But so my intention is to go.
You just take out your phone, you dial Mike Morheim, you've gone speed dial, right? You say,
hey man, I need a ticket.
Hey Mike, what's up?
I'll talk to Milkbad about it.
I'm sure you'll be able to find a way to get out there if it's something that you want to participate in. But I mean, I can't wait to go out and meet the rest of the community is what I was getting at too. They were just everyone I've talked to. We've had some guests on the shows and such too. Everyone's always been so positive and so like nice. Even the people that work with Blizzard that we've dealt with as well. So it's a great community in general, and it's one that I'm really happy to be a part of too. And it's great to hear that you have similar experiences with more like Blizzard employees and everything as well in the production like Heroes of the Dorm. So
yeah, like I don't want to ask them for like tickets or anything. I would never want to like twist the relationship like that. Like I'm just grateful for everything that they've done for me. So my aim is to be there at BlizzCon. So I'll try to find tickets some kind of way. But hey, I'm keeping my early November open because if they need a caster, I know a guy.
Well, I have a funny feeling. Yeah, I have a funny feeling you're going to get there regardless. So it's just a matter of how the tickets find themselves into your mail slot there, right? So,
last year I got to go because Super Jova, the person that started Chair League, got me a ticket.
Oh, sweet.
So I would definitely give him a shout out for that because if you guys haven't been to BlizzCon yet, you're in for a really good time.
This will be our first, and that's actually something we're going to talk about later in our news segment, is that the Nexus Trolls, we're all going to BlizzCon. We were luckily not casting or doing anything during that 3-second window.
No. I was casting. I told the guys, I said, look, we need to start this game 10 minutes late. I have to buy BlizzCon tickets on the Wednesday night. I think it was Wednesday night the first round came out, right? And they were all like, okay, that's cool. We understand. And I got 2 tickets that night. I'm kind of kicking myself. I should have just got all 4 and just been like, I have 4 tickets. I can sell it and not worry about it because I got through. But yeah, I put them on hold for 10 minutes so I could buy the two of the 3 tickets.
Yeah,
well played, sir. Well played.
Yeah, I didn't get much luck, but the second round, I was sitting there in a restaurant with my 2 kids, like just me and them too. My wife wasn't even there. She was off doing like a doctor's appointment or whatever. I was sitting on my cell phone hitting the refresh button, and I somehow got 1 ticket then too. So we ended up getting a total of 3. So we somehow finagled a way into getting the Nexus Trolls to BlizzCon. So we're pretty excited. It's gonna be all of our first times there. So yeah, you'll have to show us the ropes. We'll have to pick your brain, I guess, before we head down there to see what it's all about. But I know we're all gonna have a great time.
It's trippy, man. Like you'll see so many people be like, I've seen you on my computer screen a bunch of times. Like you're like a real human being. Like it's very interesting.
Dreadnought and Gillyweed actually exist, right? Yeah. So the only thing I wanted to do too is we wanted to also pick your brain on a little bit of strategy talk. We're talking before, like, okay, well, I got Halorin on the show now. What are we going to talk about? We figured, what he's seen a lot of in his casting days is drafts. I'm sure you've seen some great drafts. I'm sure you've seen some drafts that have just boggled your mind. But in general, I think a lot of people are of the mindset that a lot of people don't draft properly or don't have the drafting knowledge to really draft well in every situation. But because you've seen so many drafts and such, I just want to pick your brain on drafting in general. So let's say you're sitting in a team league or unranked or ranked draft or whatever. Do you have any sort of general advice on how to like handle the draft, what to look for, where to start? Like, I guess that's a good question. Like, where do you even start with a draft, and what would your suggestions be to those people trying to improve their draft knowledge?
If you're not first pick, you would do worse than to ban Lucio. Like, Lucio is one of those like binary kind of supports where it's just like, do I have enough damage to out heal? Like, can I out damage his healing? Yes. Okay, I might be able to win the team fight if we time our bursts together. If that's a no, then we effectively lose the game because like, he's just hard to deal with. So if your team doesn't have that kind of coordination, like if you are doing team league and it's just like 3 of you or 2 of you and you're doing bans, I would consider taking Lucio or anything that requires a level of coordination to overcome off the board. Because like if you're in a 5-person team and it's like, hey, we know how to pull the trigger when someone's like out of position, right, then you can get away without banning Lucio. But if you're just playing by yourself in Hero League and everyone's damage is all over the place, you're playing in the hands of one of his biggest strengths, and people just are never going to die.
Yeah, there's nothing more frustrating than him breaking it down and putting those
Right.
massive shields on everybody just as you think you're just about to confirm the kill. It's like the Rhaegar's ancestral healing going off that second before you get the last hit on a guy, right? Except it's for the whole freaking team too. And like you said, when the team's not effectively targeting one person, that like just makes the teams almost invincible for an extra 5 or 6 seconds too. So
it's interesting though, because I mean, like, I think the meta is in one of the most dynamic and static places at the same time. Like, since there's more heroes in the game by a good margin than there was like a year ago, there are a lot more options to consider. It's easy to forget about a hero like Lunara, who hadn't seen a lot of play, but has suddenly shot up in significance because of how some of the things in other places have changed around. So having a deep hero pool or having an understanding of what counters what is like really impactful. Tychus still can do work against the double warrior comp, but the positioning is a lot more important. He does really well against solo warrior. Like, I would consider taking him against solo warrior Arthas because he has no mobility to escape. So like once he steps in, you just take the bigger they are. He's wondering where half his health bar went like in the first 3 seconds of the team fight. So it's there are a lot of different nuances. I mean, that's like an hour-plus long discussion in and of itself.
You're right. Just Tychus is an hour-long discussion by itself.
And I think that's cool. Like, it just adds a lot of complexities and dynamics to the game. But a potential drawback is that it puts so much importance on the draft.
Yeah.
Like, there was a game, who was it? I think it was UK going up against LSU in a Heroic 4. It was on Tomb of the Spider Queen. And LSU took Chromie at the end of the draft. And then UK rounded out their comp with Medivh. And the moment that Medivh pick got locked in, I was like, that's the game. Yeah, there's just, you don't have any wave clear. Chromie's going to be able to select more targets than Force of Will can consider. Like, you're just not outplaying the weakness of your own comp. Like, you just lost the game in the draft.
Yeah,
so that can happen.
So, I mean, like you said, we could talk about this for hours, and we obviously don't have hours. So maybe I can simplify maybe a couple questions that I've often had and come up in my team league games as we're preparing for even just Chair League's next season and such too. What kind of comps in general? Like there's always the question: do you go a double warrior comp? Do you go a double support comp? Like, what is there? Do you find there's one specific kind of formula that works, or is it just so dynamic that it depends on the situation? Because you see all sorts of different things in from pro level play, and a lot of people like to try and mimic the pros, and down to Chair League, Division 3 through 1. Even there's, I'm sure, a lot of variation there too. What kind of comp do you like to see? Is there a kind of set formula for it at all?
I personally like double warrior a lot. I play warriors mainly, but I just think in the current meta, having that sustain and lockdown and ability to have a presence in a team fight is really important. If you're going solo warrior, I feel like it has to be a warrior that has a stun in their base kit. In coordinated play, like, you just have to stop the enemy team from pressing buttons at some point to make sure that your burst damage gets locked in or your burst healing happens. I just always feel wary when it's like a solo warrior Arthas or like a solo Tyrael or something like that, because it's like past a certain point you're just not going to be able to peel. Like, you've guaranteed that your opponent's going to they're going to press all their abilities,
right? And
you don't really have a response for that. Like, at high level play, I just think you have to have that ability to stop someone from doing something. And to go without that's kind of a liability. Like, I would either say go double warrior or double support, where one of the supports like can kick out considerable numbers, like Tyrande or DPS Kharazim. I don't think there's enough assassins that can carry a composition that goes both double warrior and double support. I think that ventures too far into one trick pony. I would say have a contingency plan in your composition. Like, if we take Li Ming, it's like, all right, cool. Like, we'll get the takedowns, we get the cooldown resets. It'll be fun. But if that's not happening, have a different aspect of your composition that you can utilize to your advantage. Because like, if you try to go for a hammer comp on Brax's holdout and then hammer gets stuffed, you're just like,
Right.
Well, guess we just lost the game. Like,
well, it's like at that point, all right, well, they get the beacons and we prepare for 100-0 defense, right? Like, there's literally nothing you can do at that point except walk away.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, well, before we finish the interview, Misk, do you have any questions you have for Halorin there, too, since we got him on the phone here? There's got to be something itching in the back of your head that you want to ask one of the most famous amateur casters out there. Well, can we say professional now? Can we?
I think you have to go professional now. Yeah.
You know, I struggle with that designation. I mean, in technical speaking, I would say I'm a professional caster. I've been financially compensated to perform a task. I mean, that's the
right. That's the definition.
That's the definition of professional. So, yeah, I guess I would say I'm a professional caster.
Look at that. You've heard it here, folks, first. Halorin identifies himself as a professional caster.
Oh, my God.
Okay, and on that
I say that with no ego.
No ego at all.
I got to say, already, I've got to say, after just meeting you, you're definitely like a very humble person, and it's amazing to get your perspective on something like Heroes of the Storm. So, no, I don't think anyone's taking it the wrong way when we're floating your boat for you, you know? So.
Right.
Mango Dreamer said he had a.
Yeah, I was actually gonna bring this question up. I was waiting for Mystic to end. So from a strictly, this is obviously our opinion and no official word or no rules, right? Just our opinion. Okay. So Mango Dreamer's team lost to LSU early in the bracket. After watching Dorm, he heard that they had a coach who didn't attend the school. Is that an unfair advantage?
I don't feel that it's an unfair advantage.
Yeah, neither do I.
My reasoning is that, like, how you choose to practice for this game is entirely up to you.
Right.
Like, if you practice once a week and walk in the dorms, then that's your choice. But if you scrim like UTA scrimmed against HTC teams, and they had the benefit of already having some context in the professional scene, so that could potentially venture into some murky water. But they put in that time and effort. And no one can take that away from them.
Right.
If a team scrims regularly and they practice regularly and they get outside perspective on how they can improve as a team, I mean, that just speaks to their level of seriousness for the competition. One of the things that's kind of tough for Heroes of the Dorm is, like, there's no set, like, anybody can join. So your definition of practice and preparation can drastically differ from someone else's. So if a team is practicing 20 hours a week, they're probably going to beat a team that only practices 5. So I just think that general median is fluid based on who signs up that year.
Well, and it's also, right, they played in Open Division a number of weeks. In fact, they're still number 2, I think. I'm hoping now that they've won Dorm, they'll now focus now on Open Division and try and get into the Crucible, because I think they have a very real possibility of knocking off a team. I mean, I kind of see where Mango's coming from, and I could see if you wanted to, like, stay with the strictest adherence and say, well, it almost like a football team, right? And if you think about it like a football team, the coach is hired by the school. So if that coach was hired by the school's athletic division, then it's different. But if it's just an outside person trying to coach him, it gets kind of murky. But from the strictest accordance to the rules, there's nothing in there about it's just the players. So, like, it doesn't violate the letter, doesn't violate the feeling behind what they wanted to do. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I support getting a coach, like you said, Halorin. It comes down to, what are you going to do, right? Even if you ignore the coaching. I think you see the same thing in Chair League. A team that comes together and just plays 1 week a night, they're going to lose to a team that practices 4 nights a week, right? Like, that's just how it works. And so, yeah, I agree with everything that was said so far. I thought it was an interesting question.
And really, too.
I mean, it's definitely interesting, yeah. Like, I just don't think you can go down that slope of, like, barring coaches. Because if I go to watch, like, Kira stream and I learn something about Zeratul or Vala, that's coaching. Like, that's a form of outside influence. So, I mean, I just don't think you can draw that line there. As long as the 5 people loading into the map are from that university, everything else is just preparation for that moment.
Yeah, kind of along those lines. Like, if you didn't call them a coach, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation. If say you got, you just had Dunk Train come and give you some advice, you just be like, oh, he's just like giving us some advice as like a skilled player in the game. The fact that you call it a coach gives it almost an official position. But was he even really a coach too? Right, just someone giving advice, like you said. Then suddenly this isn't as much of an issue too. So it's more just is it an official coach? Like, how do you handle that? The fact that they call him a coach.
It's the same as like a lot of the pros will offer coaching, right? Yeah. You can't quite see my air quotes because I'm smaller now, but coaching. And that that's perfectly legitimate. Our team talks about bringing Stray in a number of times. King Caffeine just coached a team that I'm familiar with. It happens. It's an hour or two of, excuse me, hey, I'm going to watch scrims with you guys, and I'm going to tell you the things I would adjust. That's not the same as a football coach who is like on top of you 24/7, right? Like, those are two different things. So it I don't know. It's an interesting point. I think Halorin had a good point too. If you're watching Kier's stream and Kier tells you this is what you do as Zeratul, boom, you've been coached. You took something someone else was telling you how to play the game better, right? So yeah.
Well, great question, Mango, in the chat.